Support for WYES is made possible by Mary Lou Kristovich in memory of her husband, William Kristovich.
Good evening. We love the music of A.J. Lauria. Hi, I'm Peggy Scott Laborde, and welcome to Steppin Out, spotlighting the New Orleans area's arts and entertainment scene. Seated at our table tonight, Poppy Tooker, host of the radio program Louisiana Eats, airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. Hey, Poppy.
Hi, Peg.
And speaking of WWNO, Gwen Thompkins, host of the radio program Music Inside Out, also airing twice weekly on WWNO Radio. And will be a regular at least once a month, okay? And we're so thrilled that she's going to be with us. Welcome, dear. Hello.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
We're lucky to have you. And Steppin Out theater critic Alan Smason, who is also editor of the Crescent City Jewish News. And we bumped into each other last night at the incredible Melissa Errico's performance. Whoa.
She was wonderful.
She was really wonderful. And we are so thrilled to once again start with Miss Poppy.
Well, I'm going to start off this week with some big food news. A new brunch at Avo on Magazine Street. Oh, I love the food at Avo. It is so authentically, perfectly Italian. Saturday and Sunday, 10:30 until 2. Build your own mimosas with orange, strawberry, white peach, or blood orange fresh squeezed juices. Some of the dishes on the menu: pesto deviled eggs with Cajun caviar, burrata with strawberries, asparagus, cucumbers, pistachios, and balsamic vinaigrette. Doesn't that sound good? Meatballs and polenta, pasta carbonara. That's just dying to be a brunch dish with that beautiful egg in it. Brown butter basil yogurt hazelnut parfait. And also, why did it take until now for us to have tiramisu pan perdu? I'm ready. Give me a Bellini and some tiramisu pan perdu.
You say that's a beautiful egg.
Oh, thank you. Well, then it's also the Bourbon Festival. The New Orleans Bourbon Festival is coming up next week, the 7th through the 10th. It's going to kick off on Wednesday with a bartender's bourbon battle. Thursday, there's over a dozen 4-course bourbon paired dinners with all sorts of legendary bourbon makers, followed by a VIP bourbon after party. There are seminars that are going to be held on Friday and Saturday, and grand tastings also Friday and Saturday, 7:30 to 10:30. There's an executive bourbon steward course they're giving. Tickets to this all starts at $59. If you are a bourbon lover, that's what you need to be doing this week. And I'll tell you what I'm doing on Monday, March the 12th. I'm talking about it because it's going to sell out like this. Get your tickets for the Brennan's James Beard Dinner. Ralph is hosting a culinary exploration of James Beard's visit to New Orleans back in 1978 with a 5-course dinner prepared by James Beard finalist, Brennan's very own chef, Slade Rushing. We're not going to talk about the food, even though I will tell you he's interpreting the D.H. Holmes salad, and I thought of you when I saw that. But what is so incredible about this dinner is that we're all used to having all kinds of chefs bringing out all sorts of courses. Slade's in the kitchen, but let me tell you who's in the dining room. They have invited all of the James Beard Award winners and nominees, past, present, and future. And so far, the RSVP list, it includes Frank Brightston, Susan Spicer, Lolly and Dottie Brennan, Alon Shaya, last year's Rising Star Chef of the Year, Zach Engel, Ryan Pruitt from Pesh, Rebecca Wilcomb, last year's Best Chef of the South from Herb Saint, Joanne Clevenger will be there, Susan Menick will be there, the Kasparian family from Arno's will be there, and you can better believe I will be there. I can't wait. The food's going to be great. They're bringing in winemakers who are James Beard Award winners from across the country, and they're bringing in Garrett Oliver from Brooklyn Brewery, because one of the courses will be paired with a special beer. This is going to be a once-in-a-lifetime experience. I'll see you at Brennan's on March the 12th.
That sounds good. Thank you. And we're so glad to have Gwen. Gwen, what you been doing lately? Who you been interviewing on your Music Inside Out show?
Oh, boy. Well, I have to say, we have 2 shows that are in the works right now, and they're actually a little bit related. One of them is with Bruce Rayburn, who is the outgoing curator of the Hogan Jazz Archive at Tulane. People have no idea how important Bruce Rayburn is to the New Orleans music scene, to our understanding of ourselves as music lovers, and our understanding of why we love the music that we love here in New Orleans. And he was at the archive, since I was a student at Tulane, actually, and that was, I think it was before the war.
At least 20 to 30 years
I think
ago.
so.
Right.
And just pick a war, it doesn't matter. But he's been there forever, and now at this very moment he is relaxing in Spokane, Washington, where he retired with his wife, which is just extraordinary. He says he'll come back down periodically, and I hope he will, because the man is just sort of a walking encyclopedia, and he's also just a really great guy.
Yeah, he is actually going to be coming down next week for the HNOC, the Historic Symposium.
That's exactly right. It's true. And, and so in our interview, I asked him, Bruce, you've been studying music all these years. I mean, as a historian, was there any moment in music history that you wish you were a fly on the wall and actually heard or saw? And he said yes, and I'm not going to tell you what it was, but I will tell you, so you have to listen to the show. But I will tell you that it involves Louis Armstrong, and of course, Louis, and that's our second guest, who was obviously not Louis Armstrong because he's unavailable for comment, but it is Ricky Riccardi, who is the head of research collections at the Louis Armstrong Home Museum up at Queens College. And the show Music Inside Out, we've been trying to get out of town periodically, and so we went to visit him up there.
Wow.
And
Lucky
it was a wonderful
The house
interview.
must be, it's just so amazing.
The house is fabulous, and they've broken ground on a new research facility and performing facility across the street from Louis's house, the house that he shared with his wife Lucille. But the research collection is really at Queens College, which is about a 5 or 10 minute car ride away. And once that facility is completed next year in 2019, then they're going to move the archive over to that facility, and that's where Ricky Riccardi will work, right? But we were able to, to look at Louis's trumpets. We were able to play, or at least pretend to play some of them, because we're all terrible. And but it was an extraordinary visit, and he's an extraordinary man, Ricky Riccardi. And one thing that will be very interesting for people who have ever heard him speak, he used to have a very different voice than he has now. Up until, recently, his voice had never changed, Ricky Riccardi's. And so he had sort of like a boyish kind of voice, kind of like Opie on, and so, but then he decided that he was going to try a different way. Apparently there was nothing wrong with him medically, nothing wrong with him physically, and so then he just sort of decided, I know I have another deeper voice, and I'm going to try to use that one. Of course, the interview that we have is the interview he did with his earlier voice. So he says it'll be the last time anyone will ever hear his earlier voice, the voice that served him for, I think, 37, 38 years. Isn't that amazing?
Don't you want to say Ricky Ricardo when you say
I
that?
totally want to say Ricky Ricardo. It's true. I love to say Ricky Riccardi.
Well,
Ricky
looking forward
Riccardi.
to that. So tune in to WWNO. And once again, the show airs twice a week.
It does. It airs on Thursday evenings at 7 and on Saturdays at noon.
Okay.
So you've got
great.
to listen.
Once again, welcome.
Thank you.
Many more to come. And next Friday, the New Orleans Opera Association presents Champion, an opera in jazz with music by New Orleans' own Terence Blanchard and libretto by Michael Christopher. Set in the 1960s, it's based on the true story of gay welterweight champion Emil Griffith. And Griffith is played by Aubrey Allicock. Since the cast is in rehearsal mode, actor Tony Bentley and soprano Karen Slack visited with us at the station earlier today. Ms. Slack plays the role of Griffith's mother. She tries to warn her son in this excerpt, too, about high living and denying his own identity. She recalls her own childhood back on the island of St. Thomas and warns him against his pending marriage. She is accompanied by Michael Borowitz. Check it out. Karen, you performed all over the world, including the Latvian National Orchestra, Verdi's Aida. What is it like to perform a more contemporary piece?
Oh, I love it. I mean, English is much harder to sing in because, as my husband said the other day in rehearsal, I can't understand anything you're saying. We take for granted that, because we speak the language, we don't have to articulate, as well as, when you're singing Italian and French and German. But I love contemporary music. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like to because I'm mostly cast in the Italian, the Verdi, the Puccini roles. But this has been a joy and a pleasure to be in this show.
Now, you've gotten to know Terence Blanchard, the composer. Did he give you any notes? I mean, New Orleans' own Terence Blanchard. Any notes for this?
Actually, no. He said he actually was quite impressed with my preparation on the role. And he said, the way I imagined it in my head was not the way that you sing it. And so he was pretty cool about it. I was so nervous to meet him because, of course, he's, a legend and very, very famous in the movie world. So, but he was quite cool with the way I interpreted the role. So I'm pretty fortunate.
You're playing Emile Griffith's mom. You're too young.
I know. Well, yeah, you get to a point in the career where the voice matures and people say, maybe you should play a mom. But she's a pretty hot, sexy mama, so I'm okay with that.
There you go. Tony, of course, the name Tony Bentley is so familiar because how many years were you the announcer at the fairgrounds?
27.
At this time, you're the ring announcer.
Go figure.
How does that inform this role for you? Now, you're singing, too. People may not be aware that you sing.
I am. I actually open up the second act with a small little number, which I didn't actually know I was going to do that until like first day of rehearsal. But I said, you know what? Sure, I'm cool with that. But it's great fun. I'm kind of like the Greek chorus, guiding the audience along, explaining a few things, bringing them with me, watching what's going on as part of the audience, and then getting involved as part of the cast. So it's huge fun.
Now, where can we look for you next? I know you do movies and plays.
Actually, I'm shooting next Thursday in Queen Sugar, which is Oprah Winfrey's deal on the Oprah Winfrey Network, as a basketball announcer.
What a surprise.
That's all right. Just keep coming.
Well, it's so great to have you, Karen and Tony.
Great to see you.
And we look forward to next week, debuting next Friday, Champion, Terence Blanchard's Champion.
In a place where I was born, long ago, you don't know how hard it was to live, just live far away long ago, in a time you can't forgive. You don't know how hard it was to breathe, just breathe. There's a young girl standing on the shore, looking out at the sea, looking past the sea to see what might be waiting there for her. What might be waiting there for me? Take a step in the water to your knees. Take a step, and another step to leave.
And you can see Champion at the Mahalia Jackson Theater for the Performing Arts next Friday at 8 p.m. and then Sunday, March 11th at 2:30 p.m. And wow, just looking forward to all of that. And you could go to the New Orleans Opera Association's website to purchase tickets. And now it is time for our Artist Spotlight. Tonight we are showcasing images that are featured in a calligraphy exhibit called 26 Seeds, A Year to Grow. Here is Wild and Precious Life by Reggie Ezel. And then we also have Tudor Love Songs by Lisa Devlin. And You're a Shining Star by Eugenie Yu. We know Eugenie Yu, a wonderful photographer too. All of these and more from the exhibit are at the New Orleans Academy of Fine Arts on Magazine Street. The exhibit will be up from March the 3rd to April 28th, and there will be an opening reception tomorrow. And opening next Friday at Le Petit Theatre in anticipation of the upcoming Tennessee Williams New Orleans Literary Festival is A Streetcar Named Desire. This afternoon, director Max Williams visited our studio along with members of the Streetcar cast who present a scene from the Pulitzer Prize-winning play. I'm here with Max Williams, artistic director of Le Petit Theatre, and A Streetcar Named Desire, quintessential Tennessee. I know that you are very much a fan of Tennessee Williams' work, having done, Glass Menagerie just a few years back.
We did a Glass Menagerie 2 years ago at Le Petit Theatre during the Tennessee Williams Festival, and actually prior to coming to New Orleans, I spent about 10 years working on a Tennessee Williams retrospective at the last theater that I worked at.
Well, I know you've worked at both the Hartford stage and also on Broadway, but living in New Orleans now and directing A Streetcar, what is that? How does that feel?
Well, it's a unique experience, right? It is something, I thought even before I came down here to take the job, I thought, well, this is amazing because one day I'm going to direct A Streetcar Named Desire in the French Quarter, which is really a special experience, right? I mean, that comes down, only a few people who are on this earth ever get to have that opportunity. So, it's been fun, it's been amazing, it's such a beautiful play. Of course, it keeps opening itself up to us, but there is also, of course, a sense of responsibility, right? I mean, it's New Orleans' iconic literary work. In many ways, it's Tennessee Williams' most iconic play. And, to coincide and be in conjunction with the festival and like that, there's a lot of excitement surrounding it. So.
People think of it ultimately, of course, as a tragedy, but actually there's funny stuff in that play.
Tennessee Williams has got one of the greatest senses of humor of any writer I've ever come across, right? And he does this thing where by using humor, that's always truthful to the moment, it's never schlocky, it never tries to reach, it's always based in the characters. But he kind of wakes up your viscera, right? He wakes up the soul so that then when we transition later in the play and it becomes truly poignant and, as you say, tragic, it comes as even more of a gut punch.
We have wonderful actors, Beth Bartley, of course, as Blanche Dubois, Elizabeth McCoy as Stella, and Curtis Billings, who was in a Menagerie just a few years back, of course, as Stanley. Set up the scene that we're about to see, please.
So this is from scene 4 of Streetcar. This is the scene that happens the night after that famous scene that you're talking about, where there's been a poker party and Stanley has slapped Stella, who's of course pregnant with his baby, and she's come back to him and he's screamed, "Stella!" And this is the next morning. He's gone off to get the car fixed, and Blanche comes down to try to convince Stella to leave Stanley and go away with her.
Opening next Friday at Le Petit Theatre, extended already to
Yes.
March 31st. Let's enjoy a scene from A Streetcar Named Desire. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
May I speak plainly?
Yes, please do. Go ahead, as plainly as you want to.
Well, if you'll forgive me, he's common.
Why, yes, I suppose he is.
Suppose? You can't have forgotten that much of our bringing up, Stella, that you just suppose that any part of a gentleman's in his nature, not one particle, no. Oh, if he was just ordinary, but good and wholesome. But no, there's something downright bestial about him. You're hating me saying this, aren't you?
Go on and say it all, Blanche.
He acts like an animal, has an animal's habits, eats like one, moves like one, talks like one. There is even something subhuman, something not quite to the stage of humanity yet. Yes, there is something ape-like about him, like one of those pictures I've seen in anthropological studies. Thousands and thousands of years have passed him right by, and there he is, Stanley Kowalski, survivor of the Stone Age, bearing the raw meat home from the kill in the jungle. And you here, waiting for him. Maybe he'll strike you, or maybe grunt and kiss you. That is, if kisses have been discovered yet. Night falls, and the other apes gather there at the front of the cave, all grunting like him and swilling and gnawing and hulking. His poker night, you call it, this party of apes. Somebody growls, some creature snatches at something. The fight is on. God, maybe we are a long way from being made in God's image. But Stella, my sister, there has been some progress since then. Such things as art, as poetry and music, and some kinds of people, some tenderer feelings have had some little beginning that we have got to make grow and cling to and hold as our flag in this dark march toward whatever it is we are approaching. Don't hang back with the brutes.
Hey, Stella.
I stand.
Hi, Stella. Blanche back?
Yes, she's back.
Hiya, Blanche.
You must have got under the car.
Oh, those damn mechanics at Fritz's, they don't know their ass. Hey.
All right. You can catch a Streetcar Named Desire at Le Petit Theatre from March the 9th to the 31st. Visit LePetitTheatre.com for more information. And now, Alan.
Well, you know, about 3 years ago, the National World War II Museum, what is now BB Stage Door Canteen, decided to move away from some of the World War II-centric material and to actually come up with something that would appeal to some of the more different and maybe younger demographic groups. The first show that they offered along those lines was Always Patsy Cline, which is a two-person show, and again, was first presented here, as I recall, back with Jefferson Performing Arts Society. But this entire cast reappears from now until March the 25th, and they are reprising their roles as both Patsy Cline and her friend, who is Laurie Seeger. Again, these are, real Louise Seeger. I'm sorry, Louise Seeger. Louise and Patsy Cline become friends overnight. They share a night together. She's a big fan of Patsy Cline's, and of course, it allows Patsy's music to come through as she listens to her first on the radio and then on TV. And again, all of the different scenes are set up are beautifully done. This is a work that was done by Ted Swindley, who is the author-playwright, but he also got the rights from a particular biography that was done on Patsy Cline. And again, that story about Louise and Patsy sharing the night, etc., is prominent in it. Again, this is a treasure trove of Patsy Cline favorites, including, of course, I Fall to Pieces, Crazy, Walking After Midnight. But then there are some show songs that you would not necessarily expect from Patsy Cline, such as Neil Sedaka's Stupid Cupid or Bill Bailey. She also does several songs that are, I think, in keeping with her deep spiritual beliefs, such as Just a Closer Walk with Thee, and also How Great Thou Art. So again, a great show on the stage. They are backed up by a fantastic Bodacious Bobcats band, which has some really great performers, including Chris Lusenak from The Cold, if those of you remember, Pete Rose on guitar. It's all done by Josh Wexler, and he serves as the music director. But again, the costumes are fantastic. This by Victoria Reed and her entertainment staff. Again, they have some wonderful cowboy, cowgirl different costumes that you can see. Again, I really enjoyed it. I just want everybody to make it. If you didn't see it the last time, go see it. If you did see it the last time, you know what I'm talking about. Make sure you go see it again. Again, that'll continue for the next few weeks, and then they'll be on to two more shows, more or less in conjunction with this tribute to great musical talent, Buddy Holly and Roy Orbison, so don't miss those as well. Also, coming up on the boards at the Timothy K. Baker Theater at Delgado is going to be The Wiz. This is actually a production that's being done together with See 'em on Stage Productions, a professional company, as well as the Delgado Players. So that should be wonderful. Again, if you get a chance to see that, March the 9th through the 25th. And then coming up next week at the Rivertown Theater's of the Performing Arts, do not forget the Marvelous Wonderettes. This is the music of the 60s and the girl groups. You'll be able to see that at the Westwego Performing Arts Theater. And again, they have different shows from March the 9th through the 25th.
All right, thank you, Alan. And now time for our picks. Poppy.
On March the 8th, there's going to be a shell-abration given by the Coalition to Restore Coastal Louisiana. It's celebrating all the restaurants in town who donate their oyster shells to help rebuild the coastline, go back to the reefs. It's free at Urban South Brewery, 6 o'clock, March 8th. Great fun.
Absolutely. Gwen.
Well, I think tomorrow, actually, on March 3rd, of course, there's going to be the Congo Square Rhythms Festival, and I'm gonna try to go and see Kiana Linnell. Kiana Linnell, remember that name. She's a wonderful vocalist, jazz vocalist. She recently won a major award at the Sarah Vaughan vocal competition, jazz vocal competition up at Rutgers University. And she performs throughout Louisiana and Texas and anywhere, I suppose. And she is fantastic. Please go see her, Kiana Linnell.
And a Stage Door Idol winner, too. I should mention that.
That's right.
Now, The Dumb Waiter. This is a very famous play that was done by Harold Pinter. They're going to have a coin toss to see whether or not Clint Johnson or James Bartell will take what roles every night. That'll be at the Fortress of Lushington on Burgundy Street.
Okay, and then my picks, the historic New Orleans collection. Right there, they just unveiled a free exhibit called New Orleans, the Founding Era. The exhibit actually goes through May 27th and focuses on artifacts, maps, and visual art from the city's earliest history to commemorate New Orleans' tricentennial. And the Armstrong Park Roses are back. You can see all of the roses on a free tour through Louis Armstrong Park, of course, conducted by longtime volunteer park gardener Leo Watermy. That's this Saturday. Be sure to meet up for the tour at the entrance, that arch on North Rampart Street, no later than 9 a.m. There are 175 different varieties of roses. And you can catch Alex Owen and the Messy Cookers performing at the Maison Dupuis Hotel's weekly champagne brunch this Sunday. Also on Sunday evening, there will be an Oscar party at the Britannia, literally on the big screen. $30 includes food and drink and lots of local celebs dressed to the nines, including Yvonne LaFleur. The Historic New Orleans collection, once again, they're busy. They're also presenting a free tricentennial symposium starting next Thursday and lasting for 4 days around town, full of lectures and panel discussions about the city's history. Check their website for details. Julia Street, our Queen of New Orleans Trivia, returns next week, and you can catch our recent documentary, which Gwen is in, New Orleans, the First 300 Years, Monday evening at 8 o'clock right here on WYS. Thank you all so very much, and thank you for watching. Good night.